The most upsetting thing about the attack is that it has turned me once again into somebody I have tried very hard not to be. I think now I'll never be able to escape it. No matter what I've already written or may now write, I'll always be the guy who got knifed. The knife defines me.
On August 12, 2022, the fiercely polarizing yet renowned author Salman Rushdie was brutally attacked while preparing to give a lecture at the Chautauqua Institution in New York. The assailant, later identified as Hadi Matar, rushed to the stage and stabbed Rushdie multiple times, causing severe injuries that left the author hospitalized for weeks. Now, over a year and a half later, Rushdie is speaking out about the attack and its lasting impact on his life. In this video, we'll take a closer look at his recent revelations about the assault, which has left him permanently blind in one eye and struggling with the use of one hand. Facts Verse UK presents Salman Rushdie speaks out on the attack that left him blind in one eye. Early life and formative years.
You know, I was supposed to be a lawyer. That was my father's plan. When I left college and mentioned to him that I was thinking of wanting to be a writer, this kind of yelp came out of him. He said, "What will I tell my friends?"
Salman Rushdie was born June 19, 1947, in Mumbai, India, to a prosperous Muslim family. His father, Anis Ahmed Rushdie, was a successful businessman who had graduated from Cambridge University, and his mother, Nagin Bhatt, was a teacher. Rushdie grew up in a liberal and intellectually stimulating household where books and ideas were highly valued. He attended the prestigious Cathedral and John Connon School in Bombay, where he excelled academically and developed a love for literature. At age 14, Rushdie was sent to England to continue his education at Rugby School, a renowned boarding school. The transition was difficult for the young Rushdie, who struggled to fit in with his predominantly white and upper-class classmates. Despite these challenges, he continued to pursue his passion for reading and writing and went on to study history at King's College, Cambridge. After graduating in 1968, Rushdie worked as a copywriter for advertising agencies in London, and during this time he honed his writing skills and developed a keen sense of storytelling. He also began to explore his own cultural identity and the complex relationships between East and West, themes that would become central to his work as a novelist. Early literary career.
I mean, what I mean by that is I think it has actually been very helpful to me in the kind of writer that I've become. That I studied history, because although I've forgotten almost all the history I ever learned, what lodges with you and is really helpful is this thing called historical method.
Rushdie's literary career began in earnest with the publication of his first novel, Grimus, in 1975. The book, a science fiction tale influenced by the works of Lewis Carroll and J.R.R. Tolkien, received little attention. But Rushdie was undeterred. His second novel, Midnight's Children, published in 1981, was a breakthrough success that established Rushdie as a major voice in contemporary literature. The book tells the story of Salim Sinai, a child born at the stroke of midnight on August 15, 1947, the moment of India's independence from British rule. Through Salim's eyes, Rushdie explores the tumultuous history of post-colonial India, weaving together elements of magical realism, political satire, and historical fiction. Midnight's Children won the Booker Prize in 1981 and was later named the Booker of Bookers on the prize's 25th and 40th anniversaries. He followed up Midnight's Children with Shame, published in 1983, which explored the politics and culture of Pakistan through the lens of a family saga. The Satanic Verses and the Fatwa.
To slander the saintly personalities of his family and his noble companions, radiallahu anhum, is ta'an fid deen. To malign the sanctifying rituals of Islam is ta'an fid deen. And ta'an fid deen is blasphemy, and blasphemy is a capital crime in Islam, punishable by death.
In 1988, Rushdie published his fourth novel, The Satanic Verses, which proved to be his most controversial and consequential work. It contains several passages that were considered highly offensive and blasphemous by many Muslims. The novel portrays a character named Mahond, seen as a representation of the Prophet Muhammad, as a flawed figure who is tempted by the devil and initially includes verses in the Quran that recognize pagan goddesses. This suggestion, along with dream sequences featuring prostitutes taking on the names of the Prophet's wives, was viewed as a grave insult to Islam and a blasphemous misrepresentation of revered figures, leading many Muslims to consider the novel a deliberate attack on their faith. The publication of the Satanic Verses sparked widespread protests and calls for the book to be banned. In several countries, including India, South Africa, and Pakistan, the novel was banned outright, and copies were burned in public demonstrations. The controversy reached a boiling point February 14, 1989, when Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khomeini issued a fatwa calling for Rushdie's death. The fatwa accused Rushdie of blasphemy and apostasy and offered a bounty for his assassination. Rushdie was forced to go into hiding under police protection, where he remained for nearly a decade. The fatwa also had a chilling effect on the literary world, as publishers and booksellers became targets of violence and intimidation.
And frankly, I wish I'd written a more critical book. I mean, a religion that claims that is able to behave like this, religious leaders, and then say that this is a religion which must be above any kind of whisper of criticism. I mean, that doesn't add up. It seems to me that Islamic fundamentalists could do with a little criticism right now.
Despite the threats to his life, Rushdie remained defiant and continued to speak out in defense of freedom of expression. Life in hiding.
What are your days like? Well, it's difficult to answer, really, because there's not such a thing as a typical day in a situation in which one frequently or infrequently has to move. It changes. But by and large, I try and create a day which is as like the ordinary working day of a writer as I can.
During his years in hiding, Rushdie continued to write and publish, albeit under extraordinary circumstances. He lived in a series of safe houses and was constantly accompanied by armed guards. He wrote under the pseudonym Joseph Anton, a combination of the first names of two of his favorite writers, Joseph Conrad and Anton Chekhov. In 1990, he published a children's book, Harun and the Sea of Stories, inspired by his own experiences of storytelling with his young son. The book was a critical and commercial success and helped to burnish Rushdie's reputation as a versatile and imaginative writer. In 1995, he published The Moor's Last Sigh, a sprawling family saga set in the multicultural milieu of Bombay. His 1999 novel, The Ground Beneath Her Feet, was a reimagining of the Orpheus myth set in the world of rock music. The Chautauqua attack and its aftermath.
Handcuffed and dressed in a prison jumpsuit, Hadi Matar stood silently, his head bowed. His lawyer entered a not guilty plea on his behalf. He's charged with the attempted murder of Sir Salman Rushdie. The suspect was tackled to the ground at the front of the stage, the injured author receiving first aid a few feet behind, members of the audience willing him to survive.
On August 12, 2022, his worst fears were realized when he was brutally attacked while preparing to deliver a lecture at the Chautauqua Institution in New York. A man rushed to the stage and stabbed Rushdie multiple times, leaving him with severe injuries, including the loss of sight in one eye and damage to his liver and hand. The attacks sent shockwaves through the literary world and beyond. Writers, intellectuals, and public figures around the world condemned the attack as an assault on freedom of expression and a chilling reminder of the ongoing threats faced by those who speak out against extremism and intolerance. He spent weeks in the hospital recovering but remained defiant in the face of the attack. In the statement released through his agent, he said, "I am deeply grateful for the outpouring of love and support I have received in the wake of this attack. It has been a source of great comfort and strength to me and my family."
And at times you even blamed yourself.
Yeah, I felt kind of pathetic, but actually the truth is, it happened very, very quickly. He had a knife. I had a microphone. I felt foolish,
In April 2024, he published a memoir titled Knife, Meditations After an Attempted Murder, in which he reflects on the attack and its impact on his life and work. The book is a searing and deeply personal account of the trauma he experienced and the resilience he's shown in the face of unimaginable adversity. In the memoir, Rushdie grapples with the complex emotions and psychological toll of the attack, as well as the broader issues of religious extremism, freedom of expression, and the role of the writer in society. He writes with candor and insight about the challenges of living under constant threat and the sacrifices he's made in order to continue writing and speaking out. The memoir also serves as a testament to Rushdie's unwavering commitment to the power of literature and the importance of free speech. As he writes, quote, "The attack on me was an attack on the very idea of the literary imagination, an attack on the ability of writers to say whatever they wish, to be fearless in their imagining. But it was also an attack on something much deeper, the very idea of the human being as a free and autonomous individual with the right to think and speak and create as they wish."
I do think that we have a survival instinct in us that's very, very powerful and that comes out when we're in danger. And I heard that little instinct in my head saying, live.
Now it's time to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Salman Rushdie's life, work, and legacy? How have his experiences shaped the conversation around freedom of expression and the role of the writer in society? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.